Hey, it's Dr. Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and today we're going to talk about crown to root ratios on your ortho patients. So as you know, I always recommend ideally having a panoramic x-ray. You can do a recent FMX as well, but a pano is always better because we can check for more pathology. You're going to have some blind spots in the FMX, and I've missed things before when I've had those, like supernumerary teeth or odontomas, so pano is always the gold standard. A lot of you are starting cases, especially on adults, and you're not considering the crown to root ratio. So let's talk about crown to root ratio, because I know I talk about that a lot when I review cases with you guys one-on-one. So there's good crown to root ratios, and then there's bad crown to root ratios. Ideally, I want to see at least 50% of the entire tooth being in bone, which we've got here, right? So let's say the length of the entire tooth was, I don't even know how much the length of incisor is. I mean, it's definitely 2 centimeters, I don't know. I want to see at least 50% of it covered by bone, which it is here, yeah. So I mean 50% would be here. We've got more than 50%. This is good. We've got less than 50% here. I would say this is, 2/3 doesn't have bone and 1/3 has bone, or even worse, possibly 25% bad. Now I always recommend that if it doesn't make sense, with what you're seeing, clinically, and if remember, periodontal disease leaves a lifetime of damage, right? So it could have been active 20 years ago, and I'm not a periodontist, but you may not have inflammation now or bad pockets now or anything like that, but you still have attachment loss. And that damage is gonna, even if it's not active, and I think you guys, a lot of you are like, what? There's no periodontal disease. I'm like, look at this. Well, there is, because we have attachment loss. So these teeth are not gonna move predictably. Even if there's no active disease, they're not going to move predictably. They are either going to fall out, and I've seen this happen while you move them, or they're just going to be funny things. Yeah, if they don't, then they're going to be more hopeless, and the prognosis is going to be worse later. They're going to fall out later, which could put you at liable even if you tell the patient. So I always recommend, if there's this is not a borderline case to me. But if there's a borderline case at about 50%, and I don't have a borderline case here, I just did clear, good, and bad. But if there's something in the middle, first of all, you want to always confirm it with a PA X-ray. Because if the tooth is at a funny inclination, it might make it look like it's worse than it is, or it might be worse than that, Because like for example, if it's really flared, it's going to look strange, and it's really not going to be like that. So verify it with a PA. Of course, or if you've got a CBCT, you can verify it that way as well. I'm going old school because not all of you have CBCTs. And then always a good idea to send the patient to the periodontist to have an evaluation. I don't start treatment unless the periodontist, what I says, quote unquote, blesses the case in writing, saying you may proceed with treatment. In writing is the key. And that way the periodontist is taking the responsibility, and it's not on me. I'm going to, of course, use the slowest and lowest forces possible, which is not braces ever. It's going to be aligners, and I'm going to really intentionally slow down my treatment, and I'm going to make sure that the patient realizes they need to go back to the periodontist at regular intervals, usually a PMT every 3 months, unless the periodontist says it's not necessary. But the periodontist needs to put that in writing too. And I'm also going to make sure the patient knows that at any time, if the periodontist or I feel uncomfortable with how things are going, if things are getting worse, we're going to stop treatment. We're going to bill for services rendered. Now, I have a lot of content on early debonds, or stopping treatment early, or early termination due to medical or dental reasons. We're not saying the patient is non-compliant. We're just saying things aren't going as we were hoping. It's not healthy. We have to finish treatment before we're done. The patient needs to be willing to do that, because even if there's a semi, not what they were looking for in an outcome, even if it's somewhat improved but not perfect. And then you have to explain up front what billing for services rendered means. So we do have some paperwork that we have on we're happy to give to you if you're one of our clients, even if you just do an a la carte, or it's something that we can sell. We have a lot of our paperwork in our document store on our website, Straightsmile Solutions. I don't have everything, but I do have a lot more than what exists. But I do have a really great video that kind of takes you through it. So if you can't find it, you can reach out to me and I'll send the video to you. But it kind of takes you through explaining what billing for services rendered is. Remember, with aligner cases, the fees are front loaded, which it's almost like driving a new car off the lot. The depreciation is immediate as soon as you start the case. It's not like 5%, you know? So it's like 80%, 70%, because we've got the lab fees, we've got the initial records, we've got the treatment plan, we've got the bonding appointment. Most of the fees are that first day. And the rest of it is sprinkled over time, final records and retainers. So let's say they stop, 50% the way through the active treatment. Well, they may only be getting 700 to 1,000 back. That's it if they paid up front. And even if they haven't paid up front, they're still going to be responsible. Now, for these cases where there's a good chance of early termination, I want to make sure I get a big deposit up front, because it's unlikely that you're going to recoup any extra money if they are underwater on their payments. Let's put it that way. If they're on a monthly payment plan and you have to stop early, there's no way you're going to get them to pay for treatment that hasn't been done, even if you're saying it has been done, if that makes sense according to the contract. It's just not gonna happen. So make sure you have a sizable deposit, or you're using a third-party financing company so you get your money up front. Then you can always give that partial refund. They're gonna be upset, but they can finish the treatment with restorative, which of course is gonna be more expensive, but at least you gave it a shot. You need to be like crystal clear, both verbally, in writing, and make sure that the periodontist is on board with that too. So that's pretty much how that works. So I'm not saying don't take the cases, I'm saying proceed cautiously and let the periodontist make the final call. All right, thanks so much.